Our world today is incredibly noisy, and everyone is clamoring to have their rights honored, their voices heard, and their truth celebrated. And as chaotic and inefficient as this might seem, this is all a vibrant part of the right to free speech, which so many of us have the privilege of enjoying. But what I don't hear talked about a lot is the unique struggles that many men in the 25 to 34-year-old category are facing in this stage of life. Round about 25 is the age where men's brains are finally fully developed. In particular, the myelination of the brain cells in the prefrontal cortex is largely complete, and for the first time, men can start to comprehend fully consequences, understand risk more completely, and generally start planning for the future. But it's also the time that the fog lifts and the absolute enormity of life and all its complexities and responsibilities gets laid on you in one fell swoop. And to say this is overwhelming would be an understatement. So yes, this time is definitely the point when transition, self-discovery, and growth kick in. You could almost describe it as a puberty of the brain, and we all know how much fun puberty of the body was. So, given this sudden state of revelation, it is important to acknowledge that there are going to be challenges that you encounter. As men in this age group, you are navigating a multitude of responsibilities and expectations at this point. And in addition to these, society, beyond any shadow of a doubt, places additional pressures on you to be strong, successful, self-reliant, and above all, be silent in your suffering. People won't admit this in this enlightened day and age, but I believe this still remains true today as it was in the past. So is this strong and silent approach tenable in the face of everything you will have to deal with? I don't believe this is a healthy strategy. You will encounter stress from every corner of the room, and that fallout is going to need to be faced and dealt with if you hope to make it to 50 with your marriage still intact, your family members still speaking to you, and your mind not completely addled. One common struggle during this phase is the pursuit of career and financial stability. At this point, many of you may be facing the pressure to establish yourselves professionally, namely finding meaningful work and building a solid foundation for the future. Studies show that men derive a great deal of their self-worth and meaning from the work that they do, even more so than from their home lives and their social circle, whatever that might look like at this point. So, for you, this is personal and exhausting. You absolutely have to know that everyone your age will feel at some point that they are not far enough along in the road compared to other people. However, not only is it unhealthy constantly to compare yourselves to others, but it's also simply not true. Everyone in your generation is clawing their way up the cliff, far more slowly than they had hoped. It is so crucial to remember that this part of your progression is exactly that, a progression, not an instant lottery win. Be kind to yourself along the way. Cut yourself a break. Success, true success, is a journey personal to you and you alone, and can be defined in so many different ways. Take the time to reflect on what truly brings you fulfillment and aligns with your values, and then do that, not necessarily what other people are doing or what other inconsequential people think you should be doing. Next, relationships. Relationships and personal connections are an important part of your life, but they can also be a significant challenge, especially if you come from a home filled with dysfunction where you were never able to learn how to create and maintain these connections. Building and maintaining healthy relationships requires effort, communication, and vulnerability. It's okay to acknowledge that relationships can be complex and that it takes time to develop the skills necessary for meaningful connections. But it also takes time to make these connections. But remember, the people at work are not your friends, generally speaking. They are there for the same reason you are, to advance their careers. You need to set aside time to seek out supportive friends and confide in trusted individuals who can offer you guidance and understanding. I am a huge believer in surrounding yourself with the people that you wish to become. Because, trust me, whether you believe it or not, the company that you keep will be the person that you become without you even noticing. So choose good people. Mental health is another critical aspect of your life to address. Stress, anxiety, and depression can affect anyone, regardless of gender. It is essential to prioritize your well-being, and if you even suspect you are suffering at the hands of any of these demons, it is vital to seek support and treatment when needed. It is not the job of your spouse or your friends or your dog to be your therapist. So don't push that responsibility onto them. There is nothing wrong and there is everything right with seeking professional help from a therapist or counselor if you need it. This is a courageous step and is absolutely crucial for your self-care and growth. Next, navigating societal expectations of masculinity can be particularly challenging. On the one hand, today, some sectors are lambasting men for displaying traits of toxic masculinity while never actually defining just what that is. And on the other hand, society often places undue pressure on men to suppress their sense of disconnection and isolation. Studies have shown that male loneliness is reaching epidemic proportions, especially in first world countries, where the trend is not for families to continue living together, but for people to split off from their families, to set up their own households in pursuit of individualistic goals. Spending greater and greater amounts of time on social media also contributes to this problem. You need to give yourself permission to acknowledge within your own mind your vulnerability in this area, to embrace and process your emotions. You are allowed to have them. And then to seek out environments where you can express yourself authentically in a manner that works for you, free of judgment and free of opinions that are not useful. Self-compassion is key during your journey. Without descending into narcissism, be kind to yourself and practice self-care. Recognize that you are a work in progress and that growth takes time. Celebrate your achievements, no matter how small they seem, and learn from your setbacks and failures. Remember, you are not defined by your mistakes, but by how you rise above them and what you learn from them. And finally, I want to remind you that you are not alone in your struggles. Reach out to others who may be going through similar experiences. Create a network of support that provides a safe environment for open conversations and shared experiences. Remember, it is in community and connection that we find the strength and resilience that we need to get through life. So I would say this to you in closing. As you navigate the challenges of this stage of life, approach it with self-compassion, seek support when you need it, and embrace your vulnerabilities. Your struggles do not define you. They are opportunities for growth and self-discovery. So, embrace your journey wholeheartedly and with an overt commitment to your well-being. You are deserving of support, compassion, and understanding. Never forget, your experiences matter. Your emotions matter. Thank you so much for joining me today, and have a wonderful week.